Does this look like the face of a 16-year-old girl who went missing in her hometown of Warren, Massachusetts in the year 2000 while working as a lifeguard? In a case so high profile it made Unsolved Mysteries, America's Most Wanted, and 48 Hours. If you're an older Massachusetts person, you definitely remember who this girl is. And if you're a younger Massachusetts person, ask your parents who this girl is because they definitely remember. Welcome to another episode of Massachusetts True Crime. This is the disappearance of Molly Bish. And before we get into it, a quick word from our sponsor. Dave's Hot Chicken is one of the fastest growing restaurant franchises in the United States, with locations opening in New England monthly. Find a location close to you and get out and try it ASAP. So as I mentioned earlier, Molly Bish was your typical 16-year-old girl. She lived down in Warren, Mass, down by Palmer, Worcester County, that area. The place she was a lifeguard at was Cummins Pond in Warren, Massachusetts. On June 16th, the day before her disappearance, her mother Maggie saw a mustached man in a white car parked in the lot of the beach where Bish's lifeguard post was located, so right outside her work. Now, the next day when Maggie dropped her daughter off at work, she did not see this guy anywhere. However, a witness reported that he saw a man matching the stranger's description in the pond parking lot just minutes before Molly Bish arrived. So this guy definitely could have been sitting there, waiting, profiling, seeing how she comes to and from work. And a local worker also reported that he saw a similar car parked at the cemetery connected to the pond by a path. And this is obviously where it gets crazy. That day, Maggie Bish gets a phone call that her daughter never even made it into work. Her co-workers didn't even see her that day. And her belongings were still left unattended at her station. And at this point, everything goes insane. It became the largest and most expensive search for a missing person ever undertaken in the state of Massachusetts. And as I mentioned earlier, her case was profiled on Disappeared, America's Most Wanted, Unsolved Mysteries, and 48 Hours, all the big hitters. Keep in mind, Molly Bish went missing in 2000. Cut to late 2002, a hunter sees a blue bathing suit in the woods on Whiskey Hill in Palmer. This is where it kind of doesn't make any sense. In May 2003, so like 6 months later, he mentions this to Tim McGuigan, who contacted police. Also, for the record, I have no idea who the fuck Tim McGuigan is. Now they conduct another huge search, and eventually they find Molly Bish's body on June 9, 2003, 5 miles from her house. No cause of death was determined, but they obviously assumed that she was murdered. Now, this is where it gets kind of all over the place. They've connected a bunch of different people to this case, or at least tried to. A guy in Connecticut, a different dude in Florida, who lived in Southbridge, Massachusetts at the time, a few miles from Warren. And they were trying to question him about a different murder that occurred in 1993 of a girl named Molly Bish who went missing in Sturbridge. One of the eeriest parts of this whole situation that kind of connects the two, Molly Bish wrote a letter to Molly Bish's parents in 1993 just saying like she hopes for the best, this, that, and the other thing, normal like little kid, goodwill stuff. November 2011, Gerald Battassoni, aka confidential informant number 62 for the East Hampton County Narcotic Task Force, so this guy was a rat on top of being a rapist piece of shit, was named as a suspect in Bish's death by private detective Dan Malley in Massachusetts. This guy fit the entire description of everything they thought they needed to see in a profile for Molly Bish's murderer. Molly's family tries to get this guy's DNA sent to a lab in Texas. Unfortunately, he dies at Lemuel Shattuck Hospital in Jamaica Plain in 2014. As of 2021, no arrests made, but Worcester County DA Joseph Early announced that a new person of interest has come to light. A registered sex offender, complete human piece of garbage, Francis P. Sumner. He didn't say how Sumner was connected to the case, but said that investigators recently reviewed new information that has led them to investigate him. Again, read about this guy's track record. He's an absolute piece of garbage on every single molecular level. And to add to the, to say the least, mind-numbing frustration in this entire thing, especially for her family, this guy was found dead inside his home on May 4, 2016 in Spencer, Mass, where he lived. So obviously Molly's death still remains unsolved to this day. It's still an open case. It's great to see that the authorities have not stopped trying to get justice for her and her family. And as I mentioned earlier, a super eerie part of this entire situation was the quote that Molly Bish gave to Molly Bish's parents. This is what it says right here. Just really strange, really sad for everybody involved, to say the least. I just can't imagine what parents in these situations go through. I can't even empathize with it. I have no idea. Obviously, I don't have kids of my own, so I have no clue. It's got to be a living nightmare every single day. If there's one semi-feel-good note in this entire story, in 2004, Maggie and John Bish, Molly's parents, obviously founded the Molly Bish Center and Foundation in collaboration with Anna Maria College. So if you'd like to get involved in that, look them up, check them out, make a donation, whatever way helps. And of course, goes without saying, rest in peace to Molly Bish.